Alright, am I recording? Yes, I am. So, I have a Holland 44 game pending on that I'll be playing via Vassal. I want to buy all of the Simonich 40x games. I think I'm on the wait list for Holland 44's next printing. Yeah, I think that's... Or no, it's available now. I think this is what... Yeah, I'm going to buy this when I get paid. I'm on the wait list for a couple other 40x games that are pending. They're on the P500. But the guy that I'm playing with recommended that I read through the manual, read through the playbook, and I thought that would be a good idea, even though I have watched a whole bunch of videos on YouTube about it. So I feel pretty comfortable with how it all works. But it's good to just give it a read through. Okay, second edition, 2024. So what have we got here? We got introduction, contents, sequence of play, outline, weather, bridge demolition and repair, stacking, ZOCs and ZOC bonds, movement, combat modifiers, combat results, determine defense, retreats, disruption and recovery, advance after combat, breakthrough combat, artillery units, supply, reinforcements and entry areas, night turns and replacements, breakdown units and merging units, airborne landings, special rules, traffic markers, unknown units, how to win, optional rules, scenarios, hints for players, credits, index, expanded sequence play. Okay, so yeah, all of this looks familiar to me. Maybe the breakdown stuff is I'm the least familiar with. All right, introduction. Maybe let's make this big. Okay. Holland 44 is a two-player game depicting the Allies' combined ground and airborne attack in the Netherlands during World War II, which was codenamed Operation Market Garden. One player controls the Allied forces and the other controls the German forces. Each player attempts to occupy territorial objectives and destroy the opposing enemy forces. The following abbreviations are used in these rules: CRT, Combat Results Table, or Result Table, DD, Determined Defense, DRM, Die Roll Modifier, EZOC, Enemy Zone of Control, LOS, Line of Supply, okay, that's different, it's normally Line of Sight, MA, Movement Allowance, MPs, Movement Points, OOS, Auto Supply, TEC, Terrain Effects Chart, TM, Tactical Movement, VP, Victory Point, ZOC, Zone of Control. Okay, so LOS is the one that wasn't, and MA, those are the two that I wasn't that familiar with. Okay, contents, 2.1, inventory. A complete game of Holland 44 includes the following: one full-size map sheet, 22 by 34 inches, one map section, 17 by 22 inches. Oh, what's that? 3 sheets of counters, 2 identical player aid cards. Okay, 1 at start setup card, 2 order of appearance cards, 1 allied, 1 German. 1 rules booklet, 1 playbook, 2 dice, 6-sided. Okay. The map, 2.2.1, scale. The width of each map hex represents about 2 kilometers. Terrain. Consult the terrain effects chart for a complete list of the map's terrain and how it affects movement and combat. Rivers inside hexes. Ignore minor rivers that flow through the middle of a city or marsh hex. The importance of the river as a barrier to movement and an aid to defense has been mitigated by the surrounding terrain. Okay. Got it. Counters. There are 2 types of game pieces: combat units and markers. All pieces with a defense strength, including unknown units, are considered combat units. All others are markers. Attack strength, the strength of the unit when attacking. Defense strength, the strength of the unit when defending. Movement allowance, the maximum number of movement points the unit may expend for movement and still attack in the combat phase. Okay. Unit ID, the name or identification number of the unit. Morale rating, units with their defense strength in a red box are elite. I feel like that should really be training. It's not really morale, it's really training. Those with their defense strength in a white box are low quality. All others are normal. This rating is used for the following purposes: the morale shift, as a DRM on the determined defense table, as a DRM on the rally table. So the morale shift, I think, is, yeah, okay, it's the CRT. Let's see, should I read that now or later? Summary of unit types. Maybe let's go through all of 2 before I read that box. Unit size. 1 bar is a company, 2 is battalion, 3 is a regiment, and X is a brigade. KG stands for Kampfgruppe. In brackets means it's an approximate size. Maybe I should take notes on the stuff that I'm, that's new. Well, I'll just go through it. Plus or minus, let me put on my notepad, let's see. Let's do that. Okay. Stuff that's new to me. Let's do 2. What's 2? What is section 2? Contents. Okay. Plus or minus with added elements or missing elements, respectively. Okay. Summary of unit types. All units are either mechanized or non-mechanized. This is important for determining the cost to move into each hex, or if the unit can move into the hex at all. Okay. Non-mechanized is infantry, parachute infantry, glider infantry, security, replacement, Ersatz, machine gun. I don't know what Ersatz means. I think that just means fake, right? Machine gun, fortress infantry. Okay. Mechanized includes mechanized or panzer grenadier, motorized infantry, engineers, airborne supply head, artillery, bridging unit, 88 millimeter flak, tank, Daimler Dingo recon, SDKFZ 222 recon. Okay. These are infantry type units. Okay, so all of these are infantry. Anti-tank units are the stars. Okay, it's just that one. Armored units. Tank and reconnaissance units are collectively called armored units. Okay, so these are armored units. What's the blue? Vehicle type units. Interesting. Okay. So these are mechanized, but they're not vehicle type units. These are vehicle type units, and they're mechanized. Okay. Got it. What's the 2 dots again? That's armored units, right? Okay. List of tank units. Sherman, Char B1, Cromwell, Jagdpanzer 4. What is that? Oh, it's an anti-tank unit. Panzerkampfwagen 3, Panzerkampfwagen 4, Stug 3, Jagdpanther, Panther, Tiger 1, Tiger 2. Okay. All of these are in this game? Oh, is this? No, it's not the series rules. It's just the game rules. All of these different tanks are in the game? I'm not sure about that. Vehicle units are combat units whose firepower or main function comes mainly from their vehicles. These units have the following unique characteristics. So that's the blue ones, right? They may only enter and exit polder and marsh hexes via roads or when using a ferry. Okay. Got it. I wonder what the bridging unit weaponry is. Or this. Okay, well, whatever. They may only cross when using a ferry. Okay, so you can use a ferry and enter a polder or marsh hex or exit. Okay, I get it. I got it. They may only cross canals and rivers at bridges and ferries. Okay. There are limits on when and how many vehicle unit steps may cross a ferry hex side. Okay, got it. Play note, mechanized infantry, motorized infantry, and engineers are mechanized units, but not vehicle units. Got it. Tank units. These are important for earning or denying the armor shift. Armor rating. A qualitative rating given to tank and anti-tank units. Let me turn it on. The higher the better. Armor rating. Used to determine the armor shift. Armor rating. But they didn't show that on the... I think that's on the counter, right? Infantry type units. Infantry type units may cross unbridged canals and rivers. See the terrain effects chart. Okay. Unbridged canals and rivers. Got it. Setup and arrival information. So these guys... Oops, where is he? These are infantry type. So even though they have vehicles, they can still cross those rivers. I wonder if they get to keep their vehicles when they cross. I think they do. It's kind of abstracted. Setup and arrival information indicates the turn the unit arrives and the entry area it arrives at. A white box or white 4-digit number indicates an at start unit. These are all the... I should keep it like this so I can see the counters. Okay, so we've got the infantry unit, the unit size, arrival information. So that was the one I just read. So it's the turn the unit arrives, so turn 3, and the entry area it arrives at, Y, entry area Y. Unit ID, attack, defense, morale, movement allowance, unit type. Right, unit type. Okay. Tank unit, division emblem, silhouette, armor rating, attack strength. Armor rating is used for the shift, attack strength, defense strength, setup information. So that stands for 30 core. The white box means that it is an at start unit. Got it. So this is not an at start unit. It comes in turn 3. Got it. Motorized infantry unit. Triangle indicates unit arrives at reduced strength. Okay. So how does it come back to full strength? I guess with like reinforcement points, something like that. Artillery unit. Front range is 4. It has 1 step. It's a free stacking unit indicator. That's the white thing. S means it's artillery support. D is defense strength. And it has a movement allowance of 1. The back shows the fired side. And the brackets means it's approximate. I saw that somewhere. Where was approximate size? So it's approximately a regiment. Got it. Got it. Airborne supply head. The front defense strength in parentheses indicates it is used on a conditional basis. Defense strength. Defense strength in parentheses. It is used on a conditional basis. Okay. Movement allowance of 2. It's a white box. That means it's starting. It starts on the first turn in entry area Z. The rear is the depleted side. Depleted at the end of turn 5. Okay, so it's conditional basis. The defense strength is used on a conditional basis. Got it. Sample markers, out of supply, bridge intact, automatic DS. I think that's defender shattered. River assault, disrupted, full retreat, blown bridge, traffic scattered, engaged, and artillery moved. And I basically know what all these are, more or less. Okay. Unit colors. The background color of a unit's counter denotes its nationality or branch of service. Khaki is British, green is US, light brown is Canadian, reddish brown is Polish, orange is Dutch, gray is German Wehrmacht, black is German Waffen-SS, Blue-gray is German Luftwaffe. Interesting. Dark blue is German Kriegsmarine. Do they have those units in this? Okay. Steps. Units have either 1, 2, or 3 steps. A stripe across a counter indicates a unit having lost 1 or 2 steps. This is a visual reminder the unit is eligible to recover steps from replacements or merging units. When a 3-step unit takes a second step loss, it is replaced with a remnant, 11.4, of the appropriate type. Got it. Shown above are the 3 steps of the 1501-101 Battalion. And I don't remember how to read that. It's like 1st Airborne Division, 501st Regiment, 101st Battalion, something like that. Does it go straight from division to regiment? I'm not sure about that. Okay, sequence of play outline. Holland 44 is played in game turns. A game turn is composed of 2 player turns. Each player turn is subdivided into several phases. The player who is performing his player turn is referred to as the phasing player. Each game turn is played in the following order. Weather phase. Weather is determined for both the AM and PM turns at the start of the AM turn. Skip this phase on PM and night turns. The Allied player turn. The German player turn. Okay. A player turn comprises the following phases. The artillery resupply phase, the bridge phase, the air landing phase, Allied player turn only, the movement phase, the combat phase, the recovery phase, the supply phase, and the traffic marker phase, German player turn only. And then finally, after the weather phase, Allied player turn, German player turn, you have the victory check phase. Automatic victory is checked at this time. Got it. Weather. So this is the first phase. Procedure. At the start of each AM turn, the Allied player determines the weather for the day by rolling 2 dice and consulting the weather table. Use the white die for the AM turn and the colored die for the PM turn. Record the weather by placing the AM and PM weather markers on the weather track. Weather affects the number of air units and the number of air landing points the Allied player receives, as well as the number of eligible Allied airborne artillery units allowed to resupply. Okay. Weather applies to daylight turns only. Don't roll for weather during night turns. The weather for turn 1 is automatically clear. Okay. Weather modifiers. To account for the weather forecast for September 18th and 19th, modify turns 3 and 4 weather rolls by -1 and turns 6 and 7 by +2. Okay, that's something you don't want to forget. The weather table. Die roll. AM turn is clear, cloudy, cloudy, overcast, overcast, overcast. PM turn is clear, 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 cloudy, cloudy, overcast. Got it. Die roll modifiers. -1 to turns 3. Okay, so it's got a reminder. And I'm assuming this is on the player aid. Treat results less than 1 as 1 and greater than 6 as 6. Effects of weather. Clear. The Allied player receives 9 air landing points. The Allied player receives 2 air units. All eligible airborne artillery may flip to their ready side. Cloudy. The Allied player receives 4 air landing points. The Allied player receives 1 air unit. 1 eligible airborne artillery may flip to its ready side. Okay. Overcast and night turns. The Allied player receives no air landing points. The Allied player receives no air units. No airborne artillery may flip to their ready side. Okay. So it feels like if you're doing all this on Vassal, you really should have the German player roll for weather. Oh, but turn 1 weather is automatically clear. So you don't have to worry about this. But maybe on the future turns, have the German player roll for weather. Okay, bridge demolition and repair. The bridge phase. During this phase, the phasing player may destroy, repair, and rewire bridges for demolition. A ferry hex side may not be destroyed. Okay. Bridge demolition in general. Only the German player may destroy, or the colloquial blow, bridges. Bridge demolition occurs in the Allied player's movement and combat phases, or during the German player's bridge phase. To blow a bridge, roll 1 die and consult the bridge demolition table. Okay. If the result is blown, the bridge is destroyed, and a blown bridge marker is placed. Players treat a blown bridge as an unbridged river canal hex side. Okay. Important. Bridges may never be blown across minor rivers, and therefore there are no bridge symbols printed there. Minor rivers, okay. Bridges may never be blown across minor rivers, and therefore there are no bridge symbols printed there. Oh, okay. I understand. So what they're saying there is that you see these smaller river hexes, these things, these are minor rivers. And so they're so small that you don't even see a bridge icon. Got it. Intact or wired for demolition. Intact markers. Every bridge except the Arnhem, Nijmegen, and Westervoort bridges starts the game wired for demolition and may be blown. If the bridge demolition attempt fails, place an intact marker next to the bridge. Okay. That bridge is now safe for the Allied player and may not be blown unless the bridge again is rewired for demolition. Okay. Rewiring a bridge. The removal of the intact marker is allowed only in the German bridge phase if the German player has control of the bridge. This is defined as a German combat unit in good order, including an unknown unit, on at least one side of the bridge, and the other side is clear of enemy units and enemy zones of control. Friendly units negate enemy zones of control in the hex they occupy for this rule. Okay. Removal of the intact marker makes the bridge wired for demolition again. Got it. So if you had, okay, yeah, if you had like a river with a hex on each side with the bridge has been failed to blow, you could have an Allied unit like 1 hex away from the bridge, and its zone of control would prevent rewiring it. And the way to undo that would be you'd have to move a German unit into that hex on that side of the bridge to negate that zone of control. Got it. Rewiring or demolition. You may never blow a bridge in the same bridge phase that you rewire it, nor may you rewire a bridge in the same bridge phase that you tried to blow it. It is one or the other. Got it. Bridge demolition during the Allied player turn. The moment an Allied unit either moves or advances after combat adjacent to a bridge hex side, the moment an Allied unit either moves or advances after combat adjacent to a bridge hex side, or attempts to move, attack, or advance after combat across a bridge that is wired for demolition, adjacent to a bridge hex side, okay? Or attempts to move, attack, or advance after combat across a bridge that is wired for demolition, the German player may attempt to blow the bridge. He is not required to do so. If the German player fails or declines to blow the bridge when an Allied unit crosses the bridge, or attacks across the bridge, or moves or advances adjacent to the bridge when the opposite side is already Allied controlled, an intact marker is placed. Okay. Bridge demolition in the German bridge phase. The German player may attempt to blow a bridge during his player turn if both a German and Allied unit are within 1 hex of the bridge. And the German unit is in good order, and either adjacent to the bridge or its path to the bridge is not traced through enemy units. Within 1 hex of the bridge, okay. Or across an enemy zone of control bond. So I think what this is saying is that, yeah, you don't have to be in the actual hex that the bridge lands in. You can be 1 hex away from it, as long as there's no enemy zone of control, no enemy unit in the hex that actually has that side of the bridge in it. Not through. Oh, so you can have an enemy zone of control. It's just can't have an enemy unit or a zone of control bond. Got it. Or across an enemy zone of control bond. See example on the next page. The bridge must be wired for demolition. If the demolition attempt is unsuccessful, an intact marker is placed. Okay. The bridge demolition table. Die roll of 1 to 2, nothing happens. 3 to 6, it's blown. Die roll modifier, -1. All attempts on turn 1 treat modified results less than 1 as 1. Okay. Special demolition restrictions. May never be blown. The Arnhem, Nijmegen, and Westervoort road bridges may never be blown. These bridges have an orange interior for easy recognition. Not on turn 1. The Grave Bridge, Grave or Grave? I need to learn how to pronounce these things. Grava. The Grava Bridge. The V at the end is pronounced as a softer V sound, so much of it V in love, rather than a sharp F sound. Grava, love, Grava. Okay? The Grava Bridge, how do you pronounce Westervoort? Okay. Westervoort.
Westervoort. Westervoort.
Westervoort. I don't know, something like that. Grava. The Grava Bridge may not be blown during the Allied player turn of turn 1. On turn 1, the bridge is captured and an intact marker is placed if an Allied unit crosses the bridge or both sides of the bridge are occupied by Allied units. This bridge is indicated with orange stripes. Okay. Bridge repair. Players may repair bridges at original bridge sites. Railroad bridges across major rivers cannot be rebuilt. For the Allied player to repair a bridge, the following 2 conditions are necessary. A bridging unit in good order with no out of supply or engaged markers must be adjacent to the bridge hex side. The other hex adjoining the bridge hex side must be clear of enemy units and enemy zones of control. Friendly units negate enemy zones of control in the hexes they occupy for the purpose of this rule. The German player may only repair bridges using the automatic repair method. Okay, got it. Example. It is the bridge phase of the German player's turn, and the German player wants to blow as many bridges as possible. He cannot blow the bridges marked A because they are not within 1 hex of an allied unit. A. Okay, so these are not within 1 hex of... Okay, right. So this guy doesn't have to... This guy can't... Right. This guy is able to blow all the bridges that touch his hex, but he's also able to blow bridges that touch 1 hex away from him. So these ones in A, he cannot blow because they're 2 hexes away from him. 1, 2. Got it. He cannot blow the bridges marked B because they are not within 1 hex of a German unit. Oh. Okay. Allied. So allied meant actual allied, like the Americans. Okay, so these ones... Okay, right, I get it. So these ones are not within 1 hex of an allied unit. Oh. So the allied guy... It doesn't just have to be when the allied unit is in the hex. It's when it gets even 1 hex away from where the bridge lands. Okay. Right, and he cannot blow the bridges in marked B because they're not within 1 hex of a German unit. Right. Well, I mean, this one's also not within 1 hex of a German unit, but sure, I get the point. He cannot blow the bridges marked C over here because the 1 hex range may not enter or cross an enemy zone of control bond or a hex containing an enemy unit. Got it. So this is a bond. He can blow this bridge. Okay. Right. And this one, it doesn't have a bond, but it has an enemy unit, so he can't blow this one either. All other bridges may be blown by the German player on a die roll of 3 to 6. So all of these ones. Got it. That was a good example. Okay, procedure. Right, I read all this. Bridge repair is conducted in a 2-part process. In the first allied bridge phase that the 2 conditions above are satisfied, the blown bridge marker is flipped to its under repair side. In the next allied bridge phase, in which those 2 conditions above are still met, the blown bridge marker is replaced by an intact marker, and the bridge may be used normally that turn. So there's no die roll. It's just automatically improved. If the conditions are not met in a bridge phase, then the under repair marker may remain in place until the conditions are met. Under repair markers are removed if both sides of the bridge become enemy controlled. Both sides, okay. Got it. Enemy controlled, what does that mean? Under an enemy zone of control? Yeah, I guess that's, ZOC. Okay, automatic repair. During a friendly bridge phase, any destroyed bridge, excluding a railroad bridge across a major river, that is at least 5 hexes from all enemy units, including unknown units, but ignore friend units in entry areas, and has a road-bound supply path to a friendly entry area, can be repaired without a bridging unit. The process is the same. On the first turn, place the under repair marker. On the next turn, if both conditions are still met, the bridge is repaired. Wired for German player, intact for allied player. Got it. At least 5 hexes from all enemy units. Okay. So that's 10 kilometers. It's like 5 miles. So your bridging units are really meant to be like at the cutting edge of the, the tip of the spear. For the allied player, this method is only possible for bridges south of the northernmost allied bridging unit. Note that some bridges are not connected to a road and can be rebuilt only with a bridging unit. Got it. A road-bound supply path. Got it. Play note. This is the only way the German player may repair blown bridges. Got it. 5 hexes away from enemy units. Repair blown bridges. Okay, so that's if they want to repair a blown bridge. Wait, but why does it say wired? Rewiring a bridge. Control of the bridge is defined as a German combat unit in good order on at least one side of the bridge, and the other side is clear of enemy units and enemy zones of control. Okay, so that is what control of the bridge means, which they use that term later. Where was it? Enemy controlled, right. If both sides become enemy controlled. Oh, that's okay, so that's control of a side. That's not the control of the bridge. Okay. Okay, I see what this is saying. So what this is saying here is that when the bridge is repaired, when the bridge is repaired, it's repaired in the state of being wired for demolition for the German player. And if it's repaired by the Allied player, it's repaired in the state of being intact, meaning not wired for demolition. Got it. For the Allied player, this method is only possible for bridges south. Okay, I already read this. Got it. Okay, stacking limit. Stacking refers to the placing of more than one combat unit in a hex. Markers never count against stacking. The stacking limit is any 2 units plus 1 free stacking unit. Stacking is not judged during movement. Stacks may move through other friendly stacks with no penalty. Exception 642. Airborne supply heads and unknown units on their unrevealed side have no stacking value at all, but no more than 1 is allowed per hex. Okay. Free stacking units. One-step armored units are only free stacking units as long as there are no other armored units in the hex. Artillery units, no other armored units in the hex. Okay, so that's important to remember. Artillery units, bridging units, engineer units, and flak units are free stacking units. One of these may stack in a hex for free. All such units beyond the first are counted normally against the stacking limit. Okay. Got it. What am I at? Page 6 of 20. Okay. Demi-battalions. Some battalions are represented by 2 units. For stacking purposes, they count as only 1 unit when stacked together. Demi-battalions are indicated by a color bar behind their unit ID. Okay, so that's the yellow bar here, the orange bar there. Okay, sure. So it's a reduced battalion, got it. Overstacking. Definition. If a stack exceeds the stacking limit, then it is termed overstacked and suffers the penalties of 642. When is it checked? Did they say that? Stacking is not judged during movement. Okay, so they haven't said yet when it gets checked. 642. Effects of overstacking. Defending. Oh, I see. So this is during the combat phase. If attacked, no more than 2 units plus a free stacking unit, defender's choice, may defend. All units in excess of this are completely ignored. overstacked units must retreat if the other units in the hex retreat. Overstacked units may be used in a determined defense. Okay. So all units, overstacked units. So if a stacked, so the stack is overstacked, the units, only the units above the stacking limit are considered overstacked units. Got it. Attacking. No more than 2 units plus 1 free stacking unit may attack from an overstacked hex, determined at the moment of combat. Units that exceed the stacking limit may advance after combat, but cannot conduct breakthrough combat. I see. So you might want to overstack at the, for an attack at the beginning so that you can exploit the success of the attack. Got it. But they cannot conduct breakthrough combat. Sure. 9-step limit. At the completion of each friendly movement and combat phase, the owning player must remove enough steps from his overstacked hexes so no stack has more than 9 steps. Do not count airborne supply heads or unrevealed unknown units. Units may shed steps in order to avoid complete elimination. Play note. What's the realism of that? That seems strange to me. I guess it's just like it's just a way to make sure that you don't do it. Play note. Apart from these restrictions, units in an overstacked hex suffer no ill effects and can remain so indefinitely as long as they don't exceed the 9-step limit. Cooperation. British, Polish, Canadian, Dutch, and American units may stack together without penalty. Similarly, all German units from different branches may stack together without penalty. Okay. Zones of control and zone of control bonds. General rule. The 6 hexes immediately surrounding a hex occupied by 1 or more combat units constitute the zone of control of those units. Zones of control extend across all types of terrain except unbridged major river and lake hex sides. Okay. Major river hex side. Got it. Because there's a bridge, it goes across, right? This is a, what's this? This is a minor river. What's this? A canal. Zones of control and movement. All units must stop upon entering an enemy zone of control, unless infiltrating. It costs no additional movement points to enter an enemy zone of control. It costs 2 additional movement points to exit an enemy zone of control. A unit that starts its move in an enemy zone of control may move directly into another enemy zone of control and stop, as long as it does not cross or enter an enemy zone of control bond. Okay. So you have to stop when you go in. You can move to this one and stop. You can move to this one and stop. You have to pay 2 to exit it. So you don't have to pay 2 to move from one to the other. That's an interesting, I don't know, contradiction or inconsistency. Okay. I'd be interested to know the justification for that. Anyway, so other effects of zones of control. Enemy zones of control and retreats. Enemy zones of control and advance after combat. Enemy zones of control and supply paths. Zone of control bonds. In general, a hex with at least 2 steps of combat units in good order can form a zone of control bond. When 2 such units or stacks are 2 hexes apart, with 1 vacant intervening hex, they create a bond between them that no enemy unit may enter or cross. Due to the pattern of a hex grid, there are 2 types of zone of control bonds: hex bonds and hex side bonds. See examples below. Okay. Examples of zone of control bonds. Black lines indicate friendly zone of control bonds. Red lines indicate enemy zone of control bonds. Okay. Thin dashed lines indicate broken zone of control bonds. Okay, this one. The major river prevents the bond between units A and B. Okay. There is no hex side bond between units D and E. D and E. It has been negated. Okay, because of the two units. Likewise, the hex bond between units E and F. E and F has been negated by this intervening enemy unit, right? The zone of control bond between units C and D is not broken by the two minor river hex sides. Okay. Units F and G still have a zone of control bond, even though it is intersected by the enemy zone of control bonds. Unit G has a hex side bond with the friendly map edge. Got it. Interesting. Okay. Effects of zone of control bonds. Units may neither enter an enemy hex bond nor cross an enemy hex side bond during movement. Units forced to retreat into an enemy hex bond or across an enemy hex side bond are eliminated. That seems very punitive. I'd be interested to know the justification for doing it that way as opposed to like having a die roll, rolling on a CRT. Units may not, I guess if you're retreating, you're in bad order, or you're vulnerable. That makes sense. Okay, units may not advance after combat into an enemy hex bond or across an enemy hex side bond unless they are entering the defender's vacated hex. Okay. Supply can never be traced into an enemy hex bond. So I think the way that you would do this is like if you had 3 enemy units, so 1, 2, 3, and then you attack the middle one, and it is forced to retreat, you could still have a zone of control bond between these 2 units, but you can move into that hex, and I guess thereby eliminate that bond. Units may not, yeah, I've read that. Supply can never be traced into an enemy hex bond or across an enemy hex side bond, okay? Negating zone of control bonds. A hex side bond is negated when enemy units are located on each side of the intervening hex side, as between units D and E in the diagram. So they're talking about this situation. D and E, you've got 2 enemy units on either side of this hex side bond, so it negates it. A hex bond is negated when the intervening hex contains an enemy unit, as between units E and F in the same diagram. So it's this one. E and F, this bond between them, the dotted line is negated by the enemy unit in that hex. Intersecting zone of control bonds. If both players have intersecting zone of control bonds, then neither player may cross or enter the other's zone of control bond until it is negated, as with units F and G in the diagram. So that's this one that we looked at before. F cannot move into that hex. G cannot move into that hex. This enemy unit cannot move into that hex. This one, none of these enemy units can move into that hex either. Hex side bonds with the map edge. A unit can form a hex side bond, but not a hex bond, with a friendly entry area. Okay, that's the one that we saw over here. Units may not form zone of control bonds with enemy entry areas. Zone of control bonds in terrain. A zone of control bond cannot extend through a city hex, good to know, across an unbridged major river or lake hex side. Vehicle units cannot form a zone of control bond into a hex or across a hex side. They are prohibited from entering or crossing. Okay, that makes sense. Where am I at now? No, okay. Pushing hex side bonds. When determining if terrain breaks a friendly zone of control bond, push the zone of control bond to the side of the hex side of your choice. Exception. It may not be pushed into a hex containing an enemy unit, as in the following examples. So, examples. AB is not broken because those are minor rivers. BC is broken by the major river. Okay. DE is broken. DE is broken because the zone of control bond must be pushed below the river and so crosses a major river hex side. Okay, CE is not broken because you can choose to have the zone of control extend above that hex side into that empty hex. Got it. I understand. Examples. BC is broken because of the city hexes. CD is broken because the bond cannot be pushed into a hex containing an enemy unit. Got it. Right, and so A and B and D and E are like the effectively equivalent. Oh, so E is in a city hex. So it's just letting you know that you can have, well, what if D is in a city hex? Like, I think it still would work because it says, where is it? Through a city hex, yeah. So D can be in a city hex, E can be in a city hex, and it still should work. Got it. Right, movement. Do I want to do that as a separate? Oh, that's not that long. Movement, the movement phase. All combat units. Actually, how long is this? I'm on page, 7. Movement, combat, retreats. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so there's a lot of like minor stuff. Sure. Okay, movement. The movement phase. All combat units belonging to the phasing player may move during the movement phase. Each unit has a movement allowance, MA, that is the normal number of movement points, MPs, it may expend for movement during the movement phase. MA can be increased if the unit uses extended movement, 8.2. Each hex entered costs a certain number of movement points to enter, as indicated on the terrain effects chart. Movement may be made by individual unit or by stack. Units moving as a stack all pay the highest movement point cost incurred by one of them. You must complete the movement of one unit or stack before starting to move another. Okay, that's an important one to know. A unit or stack may not enter a hex occupied by an enemy unit. Exception, unknown units. Extended movement. Benefit. Units may use extended movement to increase their movement allowance by 2 movement points. Restrictions. Units that use extended movement may not move adjacent to an enemy unit, including unknown units, units in full retreat, and units across major rivers or lake hex sides. Oh, okay. So if you're doing extend movement, you cannot move next to a unit on the other side of a major river or lake hex side. Got it. A unit starting its move adjacent to an enemy unit can use extend movement. Units that use extend movement may not end their move in a hex containing another friendly unit unless it is a free stacking unit. Oh, that's a good one to know. This restriction does not apply to units using normal movement that end their move with a unit that used extended movement. Okay, got it. Example. Unit A uses extended movement to move 5 hexes. Unit B uses extended movement to move 4 hexes. It cannot move into the shaded hex since it cannot end its move with another friendly unit. However, if B started like, over here, A does an extended move, B can do its normal movement and still end in that hex. Tactical movement. All combat units may use tactical movement. Tactical movement does not use movement allowance or movement points and allows a unit to move 1 or 2 hexes. Units that use tactical movement may attack in the combat phase. Units using tactical movement must abide by all of the other rules of movement. Specifically, they must stop upon entering an enemy zone of control. They may not cross or enter enemy zone of control bonds. They must start adjacent to an unbridged canal in order to cross it. Got it. Infiltration. This may only be used when using tactical movement and allows any number of units to ignore enemy zones of control in city hexes. But I thought they couldn't have zones of control in city hexes. Oh, no. They can't have the bond in a city hex, but they can have a zone of control. Got it. Example, the U.S. Airborne Unit uses tactical movement to pass through the city hex. Note that zone of control bonds are not allowed through city hexes. I see. So normally this unit would have to stop in this hex because it's in an enemy zone of control. But by using infiltration and tactical movement, it's able to move here and then in the same turn move another hex here. Got it. Road movement. A unit that follows the path of a road may use the reduced cost of the road. Whenever a road crosses a minor river, a bridge is assumed to exist. Whenever a road enters a town or city hex, units are assumed to be using the road movement cost if following the path of the road. The road cost may be used when moving into and out of an enemy zone of control. Got it. Movement and rivers. Movement cost. See the terrain effects chart with the cost in movement points to cross unbridged river hex sides. Okay. Vehicle type units and waterways. Actually, I want to know how long. Hints. Okay, 30 pages. I'm just thinking like, how long do I want to make each of these? Maybe I'll do 10 pages per video. So I'll do 10 pages now, and then I'll do another 10 pages tomorrow or something like that. Where are we? Okay. Unbridged river hex sites. Vehicle type units and waterways. Vehicle type units may never cross an unbridged river or canal hex side except when using a ferry or an engineer unit. Play note. Mechanized and motorized infantry and engineer units are classified as infantry type, so they can cross unbridged minor rivers and canals. Canals. Infantry type units, unbridged minor rivers. Whenever a road crosses a minor river, a bridge is assumed to exist. Oh, whenever a road crosses a minor river, a bridge is assumed to exist. So if there's no road, there's no bridge. Oh, that's interesting. So when you see these minor rivers like these, vehicle units cannot cross them just anywhere. They have to cross them at a road. Okay, that's important to know. Canals. Infantry type units must start adjacent to an unbridged canal hex side in order to cross it, and must use tactical movement. Okay. Major rivers. Unbridged major rivers may only be crossed with the assistance of an engineer unit or at a usable ferry. Okay. If either is present, then units that use tactical movement may cross. Interesting. Okay. Play note. During movement, if a unit tries to cross a bridge and the bridge is blown, the unit can continue to move in a different direction at no additional cost in movement points. Okay. 8564 limits. This engineer thing seems important for crossing major rivers. So I guess what I don't understand is, if you could cross a major river with the assistance of an engineer unit, why do you need the bridge? There has to be... Okay, here we go. Allied engineer units may ferry up to 6 steps per turn across a major river. Ferry. Okay, I have to learn about ferries. So does a ferry require an engineer unit, and the engineer unit can only work at a ferry? With the assistance of an engineer or at a ferry, usable ferry. If either is present, then units that use tactical movement may cross. So I guess engineers are like portable ferries. Ferries. I've got to write that. Ferries. A usable ferry allows a one-step unit to cross a major river hex-side if it uses tactical movement. It does not have to start adjacent. Ferries are only usable if both hexes adjoining the ferry are clear of enemy units and enemy zones of control. Friendly units negate enemy zones of control in the hex they occupy for this purpose. Unusable ferries are completely ignored for all purposes. Okay. So ferries only allow one-step units. What about engineers? Ferry limits. Let's look at the graph. The Allied player could use the ferries at A and D, but neither side can use those at B or C. German unit, enemy unit. One, two, 1, 2. Got it. Right, because it's adjacent. Got it. Okay. Ferry limits. Each ferry has the capacity to carry 1 step per turn. The type of step does not matter, with the following exceptions. The German player may not ferry across vehicle-type steps during AM and PM turns. The Allied player may not ferry across vehicle-type steps during AM and PM turns if a German unit is within 2 hexes of the ferry. So this is also making me think breaking units down may be useful to get them across ferries. The Allied player may not ferry across vehicle-type steps during AM and PM turns if a German unit is within 2 hexes of the ferry, either side of the riverbank. Okay, so that's... Okay, got it. Note, Allied engineer units may ferry up to 6 steps per turn across a major river, one of which may be a vehicle-type step. Okay. Right. Got it. Multi-step units and ferries. If a multi-step unit wishes to cross a ferry, it must use a breakdown unit. See 21.1 for details. Okay. Movement in woods, polder, and marsh hexes. Movement in woods. See the terrain effects chart for movement cost. The first 2 woods hexes entered during a movement phase cost the indicated rate, but all woods hexes after that cost an additional 1 movement point per hex. Example: 2 units use extended movement through woods hexes. The movement point cost of each hex entered is shown. So this one unit pays 1 to enter this hex, pays another 1 to go into this hex, and then after the first 2, it has to pay an additional 1. So it pays 2 to go into that hex, that's 4, and then it pays 1 more, 5, to go into here. But it has a movement allowance of 3. I guess it's doing an extend movement, right? This one starts with a movement of 5, it's doing an extend movement, it has 7. It pays 2 to enter this one. Why is that? Because it's motorized infantry. It pays 2 to enter this one, it pays 2 to enter this one, it pays an additional 1 to enter this one, that's 7. So that's its end of its move. Got it. Vehicle type units may only enter and exit polder and marsh hexes if following the path of a road or crossing a ferry. Polder and woods. A polder and woods hex, for example, 6325 is the same as a polder hex. This should have a closing parentheses here. A polder and woods hex is the same as a polder hex, except the armor shift cannot be earned in it. Okay. Automatic DS. Defending units suffer an automatic DS result during a movement phase when the phasing player has moved enough units adjacent to the defender's hex to ensure 10-to-1 odds against it. Okay. Actually, 10 combat modifiers. That's page 10. Combat modifiers is a long one. So I think I'll maybe stop before combat modifiers on page 10. Yeah. Defending units suffer an automatic DS result during a movement phase when the phasing player has moved enough units adjacent to the defender's hex to ensure 10-to-1 odds against it. Follow the combat procedure, but no air nor artillery support may be used, which are only allocated in the combat phase. At that point, the defending units immediately suffer a DS result, and survivors are retreated 2 or 3 hexes, defender's choice, by the defender abiding by the retreat guidelines. Okay. During a movement phase, follow the combat procedure, but no air or artillery support may be used, which are only allocated in the combat phase. Okay, got it. So when it's saying 10-to-1 odds, it's not including shifts. Okay. At that point, the defending units immediately suffer a DS result. So I guess like an example of this would be, you have a 1-step police German unit, and you move up 10 steps worth of allied units to attack it, something like that. So at that point you follow the combat procedure. The defending unit immediately suffers a DS result, and if survivors are retreated 2 or 3 hexes by the defender abiding by the retreat guidelines. Okay, all units that made the 10-to-1 possible are marked with auto DS markers. They cannot move any further that movement phase, nor take part in regular combat in the upcoming combat phase. The phasing player can move other units into and through the hex where the auto DS result occurred. Okay. The units marked with auto DS markers may, at any time in the subsequent combat phase, conduct their advance after combat at the appropriate bonus advance rate, including breakthrough combat, at which time the markers are removed. Got it. So this seems like something for the Allies to do in order to try to make progress in the garden phase of the operation. So you move up overwhelming odds to blow through some unit, and then you keep moving other units through that gap that it created. Because otherwise, if you were stopped at that, otherwise you would get stopped at that enemy unit, and you couldn't keep exploiting that attack as much. Okay, so let's add a note for that. Look for opportunities to get 10 to 1 odds as the allies to get an auto DS result that you can exploit with follow-on units. Sure. Example, the allied player brings enough factors against the Stug unit to achieve 10 to 1 odds. So Stug has defense of 2. This one is coming in with 14, so 7, 14, and 6 is 20. So that's 10 to 1. The German unit loses a step and is removed. The 3, oh, because it's a 1-step unit, right. The 3 British units receive an auto DS marker, and now the 2 tank units behind the attack can move down the road. Got it. Got it. Oh, wait, no, I'm using the wrong value here. So it's not, this is the defense. I want to use the attack. So this is an attack of 6, attack of 5, that's 11, attack of 9, that's 20. Got it. Okay. Combat. The basics. Maybe I want to read combat tomorrow, since I'll get it with the modifiers. I'll just read now. Units may attack adjacent enemy units during the combat phase. Attacking is voluntary. No unit or stack is forced to attack. No unit may attack or be attacked more than once per combat phase. I should write that one down. That is a good one to not forget. Okay. Exception 13.5 and breakthrough combat. Some units in a stack may attack, while others do not. All defending units in a hex must be attacked as one combined defense strength. See 642 for overstacked units. The attacker may conduct his attacks in any order and need not pre-designate them. A unit is allowed to attack into a hex or across a hex side. It is prohibited from entering or crossing in the movement phase. A unit is allowed to attack into a hex or across a hex side. It is prohibited from entering or crossing in the movement phase. Units with an attack strength of 0 may not attack. What does this mean? 8586. Oh, I think what that means is that if you don't have the movement points to enter that hex, you can still attack into it. Right. Oh, but that also means, I think what this also means is that you can attack it like a tank unit may not be able to cross a major river, but it can attack across it. It can shoot across it. Is that what it's saying? Units with an attack strength of 0 may not attack. Multi-hex combat. The attacker may attack only one hex at a time. He may not target 2 hexes in a single combat. Okay. A defending unit, or stack, can be attacked from up to 6 different adjacent hexes. Units in the same hex may attack adjacent defenders in different hexes as long as each attack is conducted separately. Okay. No unit may split its attack strength to attack a second hex in a separate attack. Okay. Unlike some other game systems, attacking units are not required to attack any or all adjacent defending units. Okay. Combat procedure. Follow these steps for each combat. Step 1. A German defender may roll for bridge demolitions before the attack takes place. If a bridge is blown, the attacker may cancel the attack. Okay. Step 2. Compare the combined attack strength of the participating attacking units against the total defense strength of the involved defending units after having applied all modifiers, and express the comparison as a numerical odds ratio, attacker to defender. Round off the odds ratio downward to conform to the nearest whole ratio. For example, a 15 to 4 would be a 3 to 1. 11 to 12 would be a 1 to 2. Step 3. The attacker determines CRT column shifts for armor and morale. The attacker then must declare whether he will use air support and/or artillery support. After taking column shifts into account, a 6-sided die is rolled, and the CRT is consulted, and the results are implemented. So this question, this makes me wonder, so when playing with Vassal, if the defender is rolling for the attack, okay, right. Yeah, so you'd have to, when you're playing with Vassal, you would have to declare this before you send it to the defender to roll the die. Got it. After taking column shifts into account, a 6-sided die is rolled. Okay. Players immediately remove any step losses, conduct determined defense, or perform retreats, and advance after combat. Okay. Minimum and maximum odds. Combat at odds less than 1 to 3 is not allowed. Combat at odds greater than 7 to 1 is resolved on the 7 to 1 column. Column shifts. Apply the minimum and maximum restriction after column shifts. When applying column shifts beyond the 7 to 1 column, assume that 8 to 1, 9 to 1, etc. columns exist. Oh, interesting. Examples. Odds of 7 to 1 with 2 shifts right, now 9 to 1, and 1 shift left, now 8 to 1, would be resolved on the 7 to 1 column. Oh, okay. Got it. Major rivers and combat. Prohibited. Combat across major rivers and lakes is prohibited except at unblown bridges. Okay, well that answers that question. And or with the aid of an engineer unit. Combat is always allowed across canals and major rivers. Okay. Canals and minor rivers. Attacking across a bridge. All units attacking across an unblown major river bridge have their attack strength halved. Okay. The defender's defense strength may be doubled. 10.8.2. Okay. Major river assaults. Only the allied player may attack across an unbridged major river or lake hexside. In order to attack across such a hexside, the following 3 conditions must be met. All units participating must be stacked with an engineer unit. All units participating must be in good order and not engaged. At least one infantry type unit participates in the attack, and that unit started the allied player turn adjacent to the major river or lake hex side and did not move. Play note. The engineer unit plus a free stacking unit can move to the hex and participate in the attack. They are not required to have started adjacent. The units cannot use extended movement to reach the hex due to Rule 8.2.2. Okay. Design note. This bending of the must start adjacent to the river hex side rule is to keep the German player guessing where the river assault will take place. Okay. Okay, got it. So the idea is like you'd have maybe you'd have 3 hexes with one stack, one step. Oh no, it could be 2-step. You could have several hexes with 2-step infantry units. You have another hex back here with an engineer and a 1-step vehicle unit, and you can move it to any 3 of those to then attack across. Got it. If the 3 conditions are met, place a river assault marker during the player's movement phase to indicate any units in that stack can attack across the major river hex side. The attack can be resolved at any time during the upcoming combat phase using the normal rules of combat. The engineer's attack strength does not have to be used. The attacker would do this so it cannot be selected for a step loss by the defender. If the attack is successful, all infantry type units stacked with the engineer unit, and the engineer unit as well, may advance after combat across the major river. While they are not required to advance across the major river, if they do, then the first hex must be into the defender's vacated hex. Restrictions. Moving across a major river into or across an enemy zone of control bond is prohibited. The German player cannot do a river assault. Their engineers are normal infantry units and haven't the specific equipment. Okay. What if... Oops. So what if it's the defender's vacated hex? Can it still do that? Well, it's a bit of an edge case. Okay, example. Airborne Unit A starts adjacent to the major river, which is necessary for the major river assault. Tank Unit B moves up to the river and will attack with Unit A. But since it is not an infantry type unit, it won't be able to advance after combat. The engineer unit moves to the hex to make the attack possible. Unit C moves adjacent, but will be unable to contribute to the attack since it is not stacked with an engineer unit. I see, so the tank can attack across even though it's not able to, it's a 3-step unit, so it's not able to advance. since it is not an infantry type unit. Oh, because... But what if... I mean, I thought engineers could do ferries. Okay. Well, I think I more or less get it. Combat modifiers. Okay, so I'm going to stop there for now. But next up is going to be, let's see, combat modifiers. We're going to go try to get to page 20. Combat results, determine defense, retreats, disruption and recovery, advanced out of combat, breakthrough combat, artillery units, and supply. Okay, so it looks like combat modifiers is going to be the annoying one, but then everything else is like a page.